When Food and Life meets Globitos.
Hey! Ooh, ooh, ooh.
All right.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
What did one concha say to another concha?
Yeah, I will.
Can't you believe it? I don't know.
That's pretty good, actually.
Okay,
Put you on the spot.
Okay.
Okay.
So, okay.
Yeah, these are not real, everybody. I'm so sorry to disappoint you.
Yeah, especially not this one. But this one is a concha, believe it or not.
Well, welcome back to When Food and Life Meet, and today we are meeting Luis from Globitos.
Yes.
I recently was asked, like, how do you know who you want to interview and what that happens? And
Yeah, I want to know that too. I want to know why I'm sitting here.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
Perfect opportunity. So, you're online and then you find out like there's somebody who has this company named Globitos. And I'm like, wait, what is this? And so, I do a little research and then I see like your career, your marketing, your creativity, and Globitos. So if they don't know, they'll know now, is Luis's company. And so imagine, you walk into stores and you buy the balloons that always say like congrats and the very like stereotypical gringo thing, and now you start seeing stuff like a concha, or well, he'll show some other ones over there. And I really gravitate towards people who are breaking cycles, who are innovative, creating new things and creating spaces for people that haven't always been considered. So that's why I was like, I need to talk to Luis. So I think you're really, I want to be around people like you who think big and who take chances. And so I think that's, and it's also nice that it is Latino, you're queer. So that's always a ding, ding, ding. This is also nice to represent that people like us are making some stuff happen. So welcome to Donas y Tortas, Luis.
Yes, I'm so excited to be on here, especially because I love the title.
Oh, thank you.
Two of my favorite things. Definitely Donas y Tortas are a must. Yes, that is the ultimate. We're two gringos for the Mexicans and we're two Mexicans for the gringos.
Yes.
Donas y Tortas. I love that.
Thank you for seeing that, but it shows like, hey, we're a little bit of both.
We can have both.
We can have both.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Gracias.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time and allowing me to share your space with me and with your audience. Entonces, muchas
God,
gracias.
are you kidding me? I'm excited. I'm getting like chills right here. Let's get into it. So one thing we do before we talk is we eat, because why not?
Yes, of course.
So Luis told me, he's like, I like anything chocolate. So I thought, let's have some fun with this. So when you see like the fancy chocolate bars, I never get them, but I'm like, you know what? Today's a special occasion. Like, let's check them out. And then we found some that were interesting. So here, take a look. What is that?
This is a potato chip chocolate bar?
That's
okay.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. And then this is a churro.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna try them.
A ver.
Okay.
We just
open
let's go some AS.
And then what is this brand? Have you heard of this brand?
I don't even see. This is the thing about like fancy stuff. Like I don't know what the brand is. I don't know and that's also my marketing side where I'm like I don't even know where to look except for like
literally
this.
Yes.
Pero no sé cómo se llama la compañía.
Is it esta?
Is it that?
How do you pronounce it?
Chuao.
All right,
Chuao. Let's see.
All right, let's show it.
Let's try this. These better taste like Sabritas Sonrix de Mexico,
Oh
which
my God.
I doubt, pero I'm hopeful.
¿Te acuerdas in Mexico, like when I was a kid and I go visit, there was the boxes where it come with a little bit of candy and a little toy?
Yeah, I think it was like
Sonrix.
Sonrix, yeah.
Sonrix. Oh my God.
A ver, vamos a ver. I can taste the potato chip.
And is it a good thing?
I mean, it's good.
Okay.
It's not something I would get, but I can taste the chip.
Now
I can taste the chip.
Now you can say you've had a chocolate with the potato chip chocolate. All right.
It's really salty, which obviously it's like
it's meant to be that.
The potato chip, right?
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Okay. Try the churro. Okay. I'm gonna try the churro. Yeah, it tastes like a churro.
Oh my God, this is good.
This is good? You're taking this all home, by the way, yeah.
Oh my God, this is really good.
It's como churro, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
But it's like dark chocolate, ¿verdad?
It's dark chocolate. I can taste the cinnamon. I can taste like the dough of the churro. This is really, really good. This is like dangerous. Con mi diabetes, this is dangerous.
Yeah, that is dangerous. So why chocolate for you? What is it for you?
I don't know. But ever since I was a little kid, I loved chocolate. I remember going to my grandmother's house and always taking las barras de chocolate abuelita and just biting into it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I love chocolate. Desde chiquito, and you know when you go through like the puberty age, everybody always tells you do not eat chocolate porque te van a salir barros.
Yeah. ¿Te pasó?
No, nunca me han salido.
That it is a myth, truly.
I mean, I don't know because I mean, nunca me salieron barros except now as an adult. Like every so often, like every other year, I'll get a barro on my face. And I actually was just in Palm Springs not so long ago, and literally I had the barro here in my nose, in front of my nose, but it doesn't really happen to me. So I always ate chocolate all my life.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I love
me.
chocolate, any kind of chocolate. I'll try anything. Yeah.
You literally did, yeah.
Yeah.
That actually, the potato one I like better.
You liked it
I
more?
think because I'm more of a salty person.
Exactly. A mí me gusta más lo dulce.
Por eso
So
churro,
ahí
you're like,
está.
so we're switching.
Con eso.
We're switching.
All right. Now that we have things straight out here.
Speaking of straight, oh,
I knew as soon as I said that, I should have said something else.
Well, I mean, I think it's so, it's so funny. I've been figuring out what are kind of the questions I always like to ask people in our community. And I like to talk about the moments, not this idea of like, oh, when you knew you were gay, but more of like, how did you feel just experiencing getting to know who you are, like experiencing those feelings of lust or infatuation with, because we always talk about the negative. Yeah, but let's talk about, because I feel like, let's talk about like the beauty that it was. Like, now that we've been through our journey, I don't know, I like to think of, look back and be like, dude, like, I don't know, it brought me a lot of shame, but brought me a lot of joy when I think about some of the girls
Yeah. Drop names. Drop names right now.
No. Después. ¿Cómo crees?
All right, if she drops names after we're done recording, I'm going to have my device recording, okay?
Si eran gringas, I'll admit to that.
Oh.
But then I ended up dating a lot of Latinas.
Okay,
I think that was a transition there.
Okay, damn, there's a
Pero me
lot of
gustaban
trauma
las
to
güeras.
unpack.
Me gustaban las güeras. So that is
Okay.
true. Anyways, what about you? Now I'm blushing.
I think one of the things that for me was being able to finally, when I was okay with it, was finally just being able to be myself. And I take a look back at all these years and I think, pues sí, la verdad, I think that I ended up being somebody else because I could not be myself for so many years. And I had to play this role, especially working in corporate America, where, it had to be this certain decorum that you would have to follow.
Yeah.
And I think that if I would have come out of the closet earlier, then maybe I would be a totally different person, because there's a lot of things that I still do because that's how I grew up until I was 28 years old. So I remember finally feeling free and being who I really, really am, right? And started, for me, the best thing was wearing nails. The best thing was wearing women's clothing, shoes that are meant for women. I would wear them, or camisas, or that sort of thing. Seeing people's faces when I would enter a room, and them expecting a certain thing because of how I spoke over the phone, and then arriving and having women's jewelry on, these kind of things, and seeing their reactions, that brought joy to me because I was finally able to be myself and step into my own.
Wow. And it's a feeling that I think it's a very specific feeling, right? That because I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And so what I like about sharing these stories here is like some people might be parents, or family members who want to support, and like, you see people like Luis and myself, and it's like we finally get to like
be ourselves.
And there's a lot there too that we've been able to heal and all that good stuff.
I agree 100%. And right now that you mentioned parents and people that might be watching who have children or who are uncles, and all of this, I think it's important to step outside of like the norm and don't ask questions that are not meant for little kids, right? Like, ¿ya tienes novia? Do you like someone? Like, no. And if you feel so chismoso that you must ask, change the question, right? Like, do you like someone at school?
Yes.
Change the word from novia, novio to partner, and let them figure out what that is, right? Because I think that from a very early age, we teach our children that society only accepts this and that. That's it, right? So I have a nephew I never ask those questions, and I always come down on my parents whenever they ask something like that. I always come down on them, and I come down on them in front of everybody so that they don't do it again. And then I also tell my brother, like, those are questions that you should be asking a child anyways. Like, why are you asking them something that is so uncomfortable? Regardless, even if they are straight, gay, whatever, it's still uncomfortable at that age, right? So those are things that I do. And then I also don't buy my nephew any gifts that are male or female. They have to be gender neutral.
Oh, I've never. Okay,
yeah, they have to be gender neutral. So those are the only kind. Whenever I get him anything, it's always like it's gender neutral. So yeah.
I know, it's like I'm hearing you say this and I'm like, wow, like you're turning which I'm sure was hard, maybe potentially, we will get into it, is the pain and shame that you go through to finally be yourself, and now you get to like be the kind of person that you probably needed around to be like.
Absolutely.
How does that feel to be that person now? You're like...
I mean, it's great, pero sí, we have to unpack so much, right? So much trauma. And I'm sure that sometimes, as much as I want to be, open and change things, I'm sure that sometimes I say things that are not so open. But I think that as long as we have it in our minds that we need to change those things, those little things are the things that really do make a difference in my mind.
Yeah. It's funny, you were talking earlier about the clothes thing, and I was going to tell you a story. When I was in college, I was like very in the closet, but yes, at that point, yes, I was like, I was like, and I remember I would go to Express. Remember
I used to shop there all the time.
So I'd walk in, and I just remember the smell. And because I was, pretty depressed at that time. And anyways, so now I went in with my wife for I don't know what reason, and we went in and I smelled it. And it was like, it took me a seat back in time. And it's one of those things where you're like, wow, like, I mean, I'm happy I'm not in that space anymore, but also like, whoa, like how clothes can really play a narrative in your identity and stuff. And so now what we do is that my wife and I, we go in and we go to the men's side. Cause I'm like, dude, the men's side, like they actually have like great clothes. Like, I don't know why this has to be.
I totally get it. And that's, I was going to ask that, like it triggered you because you would walk into Express and you'd want to shop the men's section, but because of society, they wouldn't allow it. Right?
Or there's this pressure of like, also hyper femininity, right? Like when you go in there, it's like there's only this type of woman that can dress this way, and I'm just like, I always felt like I didn't quite, you know what I mean? Like fit, like why do we have to be? And it goes back to society being like things have to be this certain way, and so if you think anything slightly off the track, it's like you know? And so
I totally agree. There's this mom and the children of this mother, but there's one particular child who always wants to dress as a princess. She goes and takes the child to like the local store and buys the princess outfit, and I'm reading through all the comments, and of course there's like so much hate, but I'm like, oh my god, this mom is a superhero because she's being brave for the child, and she's being brave for herself and her family and all the hate that comes with it, but I'm like, I've left several comments in several of the videos, and I say to her, you're the mother that everybody deserves because you are teaching your child to be accepting of themselves. Your child is going to grow up knowing exactly who they are.
Wow.
I didn't know who I was until like 28 plus years. And then even after that, I'm still learning.
We're still learning.
To see who I really am, right? Because I had to play a role. I had to play a role growing up of this is what society wants. This is what I need to be. So be it. And so now it's taking me so long to unlearn all of that. Then just finally come to terms with like, who am I really? Was I supposed to be this super feminine guy, or was I supposed to be X, Y, whatever? I don't know because now I've worked for corporate America. There's a certain way that I needed to act. There's a certain way that I needed to, I don't even know if this is my real voice, right? Because I didn't have an opportunity exploring really who I was, like the rest of the world gets the opportunity to do so, right? So
that's very true.
So I see these videos and I see this child, and I'm like, oh my God, this child is going to grow up to be who he really was meant to be, whatever that is, and that is so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. If people can experience just not even half of the shame we have had to, it's like, oh my God, like that's my, and I think you bring up something really real, is like we're kind kind of like regressed in our growing. You know, my therapist even tells me, you know, like the LGBT community, there's a delay because when we were in high school, like I couldn't be dating people, like, or dating women. Like that wasn't gonna be, I'm being more like open and graceful with that self-discovery part.
Yeah, and
because we don't get the fun.
We don't get that, but we also don't have role models. We don't have role models, right? So I've been in a relationship for 13 years. We don't have role models of somebody being in a relationship for that long, right? And so when we do, it's this heteronormative, you know, way, right? Of monogamy, of till death do us part, of the white picket fence, the dog, and the children. And we as queer people don't have that, right? And then when we start seeing someone, we start judging them by the heteronormative
that lens,
way of life. And that's
tampoco se vale.
No se vale.
No se vale.
So yeah, a lot of people always ask, like, if you've been married for such a long time, where's your ring?
Oh.
I don't wear a ring. I don't wear a ring. My partner doesn't wear a ring. And I always respond with, well, can you explain to me why people with rings end up cheating? Like, what does that mean? What does a ring mean, right? It's supposed to mean, like, you're with your partner and you're monogamous y la fregada, but, like, why do people with rings end up cheating on each other?
That's true.
You know? So yeah.
I guess in some lucky way that we don't have, like, the gender roles. Like, we get to decide for ourselves how we want to have our relationship and stuff like that. But I will admit that Catholic girl in me, I'm not going to lie to you, when I was trying on my dress, my wedding dress, and I put on the veil, the Catholic one, it was like a Catholic one. I put it on and I was like, oh, now I feel like I'm getting married, right? That's because your core beliefs come back in, you know, they're still part of you. It's like how you know.
Yeah, that's how you grew.
That's how you grew. And so I got very emotional and I was like, oh my God, like, but it was a good emotional. It was like, I'm so happy that I get to have this opportunity and I found my person and all this stuff. But I'm like, oh damn, like, yeah, those core beliefs are in there. And how do you decipher how you engage with them, if you will, or like
with like the core beliefs?
Those core beliefs, yeah, because some of them are like that wasn't like a terrible, I mean, obviously there's terrible ones, but that one is still obviously rooted in like the church and like there were things that I enjoyed about like the tradition, some of the traditions and stuff of church. But yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense, because I think one of the things that I've always said was we didn't have a wedding. We didn't have anything like that. We just got married at the court. Ni su familia, ni mi familia, ni nadie.
Just the two of you.
You know, one of the things that I said to him was, when the time comes, I do want my picture in front of a church. Because not because I believe that that's going to allow us to, you know, last forever. It's just I want a picture like my parents had, you know.
That's and so that connection almost with your family and with your
that connection.
Yeah,
you know?
That's interesting. Yeah.
So I think those core beliefs are there because you know they're rooted in us.
You want to feel like you belong.
But
right?
I mean,
and in a sense of like belonging to your family. I don't know.
Maybe, but for me, the reason why I want that is just because my parents had that picture. I want that picture.
Yeah.
You know, if my current partner is the one that is going to end up with me for the rest of my life, chingoncísimo. And if not, listen, I already have that picture. I don't need to do that again. Let's move on. Thanks. You know, been there, done that.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
No, that's good perspective because I've never really thought about it. Were you spiritual? Were you like growing up? How was your relationship with religion? How is it now?
By default, we grew up Catholic because you know my parents come from Mexico, and so I think that that's something that is embedded in us. But then once we got here, I remember many nights where I would be by myself, because my parents had to work day and night shifts to get, you know, to try to get ahead. And there were many things that we went through that I would just always think like, ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué nosotros? ¿Por qué nosotros? You know? But then as I started growing up and then as I started learning more about a lot of things that happen in church and you start becoming a little bit more woke and you're like, start questioning things. And so I think my father stopped being religious when he couldn't baptize my brother in his church from his hometown because we didn't live there. And so there was this like big like thing And so my dad was like, wait, what? Like, that makes no sense. And so I think he started to lose faith in church at that moment. We didn't grow up in a super strict Catholic household. We didn't.
Oh, okay.
But my dad has always been very religious in the sense like he believes in God. My mom también. And then more recently, they started going to, like, I think it was a Christian church. And I would go every so often. And I liked going because it felt like every time I would go, the priest was literally giving, you know, a sermon for me. Like,
I felt
like, hijo de su pinche madre. Like, at qué momento did this guy go through my cell phone?
Right.
You know? And so I liked that because I would end up crying and I would end up reflecting, and it was nice. But he wasn't like, you know, you have to do this, and that. I don't go often. I go like once in a blue moon. I think it's been like 4 or 5 years pre-pandemic that I went there. But that's the only place that I like going because it just felt like he was talking to me in lamest terms. Where like it made sense to me. But yeah, we didn't really. It wasn't a strict Catholic household.
Yeah, because I always thought like being like gay meant. For me, I felt like, oh, does that mean I can't be spiritual or I can't, you know? And so I'm still on my journey of like, I do still believe in God. I just haven't figured out a platform or religion that I can feel that way where I feel like I'm, you know, nurturing that relationship better. But I'm happy that I'm sharing that, like, just because I'm queer doesn't mean that I can't be spiritual or believe in God and I can find my way wherever that is. But because that's something I was really worried about. I really was like, do I have to sacrifice all like
everything that I've learned
and
how you grew up,
to be something that I don't know what it is. You know, I don't know. It felt very lonely. I don't know how you explored getting through that part for yourself.
I mean, for me, it wasn't a thing of like exploring because to me, like as I said, our household was not super religious.
Right.
So my dad wanted us to believe in something, you know, whatever that may be. He wanted us to have faith. And so now as an adult, I think that my believing in something is believing in affirmations. Like affirmations to me have been something that have been very at the forefront of everything I do. So I always wake up and say, you know, thank you for everything I have, and today we're going to accomplish this. And I always put into the universe the things that I want to accomplish. And it doesn't always work, right? But I think that for the most part, like I get these things done. And so that works for me.
I mean, I love to hear these stories. I'm like, what works for you? I'm like, taking notes. Yeah, Nomi was talking about like meditation.
Okay.
Do you meditate?
No, I can't.
That's what You're going to have to check out our interview because he's like, for those people who say they can't, they can. And I was like, I mean, I can if I really...
I'm very impatient. I lose track. Like, I'm really bad with names. You'll introduce me to someone, and as soon as they say their name, I'll forget it. Like, I'm really bad with names, and I low-key or high-key probably have ADHD or, you know, like my attention span is so short that, like, meditation to me is like okay, what am I doing next? Like, you know? Like,
I know. I
tried it, pero no se me da.
Ya sé. Pero lo que sí le da a is he is an entrepreneur.
Sí.
Híjole. Globitos.
Yes.
So here we have, he just shared with me that this is the OG.
Yes.
The original globito, the inspiration, would you say?
Yes. We actually... This globito right here is our concha model, and this is from one of the original batch of globitos that we did in 2016. I'm one of the co-founders, and my best friend Donna is the other co-founder.
Shout out Donna.
And so we started this in 2016.
Wow,
because,
8 years ago.
Yes, because at the time I was working in corporate America, and my assistant at the time, the best assistant that I've ever had, she was Latina, pero she was like second or third generation.
Okay.
And she loved conchas. She loved conchas. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to throw her a surprise birthday party, and everything is going to be concha. Concha cake, concha ice cream sandwiches, concha decor, concha everything. And so I started looking for concha balloons. Because back in 2016, I don't know if you can remember, but the politics.
Oh, there was something happening, right?
Yes. The politics of it.
I'm getting what is it? I'm getting deja vu.
So, you know, this person, I feel, lit a fire under a lot of Latinos' asses. And we just started, you know, becoming entrepreneurs and really just honing in on how creative we are as Latinos. And so at that time, I was like, somebody has to have concha balloons, because I would start seeing concha earrings, concha stickers, concha everything, and a lot of things. And so I went on Etsy, I went on Amazon, I went all over the internet, and I could not find concha balloons. And then I was like, okay, well, they haven't made their way into the US. Let me call my friends in Mexico and ask them to find me these concha balloons. And so I called my friends in Mexico and I was like, oye, güey, fíjate que necesito ta, 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 ¿me puedes ayudar? Okay, yeah, I'll look for them. And then a week later, they were like, wait, no existen. No existen. And I was like, no. You cannot tell me that a piece of bread so iconic as the concha does not exist. And they're like, no.
O sea.
And so at that time, I had just started another business, which was Molcajete Dominguero, which
Y'all, this is, okay, if you don't know, now you know. So he's sitting here telling me about this, and I remember this, and he's like, yeah, I founded it. You founded it.
Yeah, I was one of the co-founders for Molcajete Dominguero. And prior to the pandemic, we were the largest Latino Latinx
Hell
in the country.
It was.
So I had just started that. And so my now business partner Donna, she reached out and was like, hey, listen, I have an idea for a business and I don't know any other entrepreneurs except for you. Do you mind hearing me out and seeing if I have a good idea and what it is that I need to do to kick it off? And I said, okay, yeah, let's hear it. So she told me her story, blah, blah. I told her, I think you need to do da, 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 da. And then she was like, oh my God, that's a lot. I'm like, yeah. I mean, that's part of opening up your business. You have to do research. You have to see whether it exists, how it exists, what does it look like currently, there's so many things.
So many things.
And then I was like, hey, since I have you on the phone, can I share with you an idea that just popped into my head? And then she was like, yeah, what about globitos in Spanish? And she was like, Luis, they already exist. I'm like, yeah, they do, I know. But they say things like, feliz cumpleaños. And that's it. But what about globos that like really said cool things, you know, dichos?
Like what? Let's see. Let's show them. Like what? Like what?
Like tacos before vatos.
Hey!
Like,
here,
come on.
I'll help you.
La más chingona.
I mean, aquí está.
Hello. And like, taquero mucho. Like, look.
Now I know why you got the concha. You got the concha pun right there.
Yeah, so taquero mucho, right? Like complete with like trompo, el taquero, what about that? Or globitos like tú, yo, embarraditos, no sé, piénsalo. Like, come on, like these are, you can't find these.
You can't find them
anywhere, you know?
Well, now you can.
And so she was like, I'm sure the concha balloon exists. And I was like, girl, I thought it existed as well. And so she looked for it. And then a week later, she came back and she was like, Luis, you're right. It doesn't exist. Can I be your business partner? And I was like, let's do it.
Wow.
Let's do it. So we started researching.
Wait. Before you started researching, when you're like, let's do it, I want to know that moment, because you're like, how do you take a leap like that? Like,
I mean, you just do. You just do. You know, those that know me know that I've done so many business ventures and a lot of them have failed. But I think that the biggest failure in life is the what if feeling. Because then you'll never know. I would much rather fail at something than not know that if I would have started, what if it would have worked? What if that was the one business that could have worked, right? So for me, I would much rather fail than not fail at all and not take that first step. And I understand that many times that first step is the biggest, the hardest, the most challenging.
Yeah.
But you have to do it.
Yeah.
So once you said, let's do it, we started researching, and then this was our first attempt at the concha balloon. Cute. This was our concha balloon, and we started promoting it as such. Okay. And people started buying it. And then, of course, once you start a business, you're always gonna have haters, and you have to pay them no freaking attention, because at the end of the day, they're not paying your bills, they're not you, and they're probably sitting at home doing absolutely nothing. So do not worry about haters. As a matter of fact, I would thank them, because they're writing hateful messages, which is helping the algorithm and it's helping you grow. So somebody said, oh, I thought that was a brick wall. And I was like, oh, you freaking ass. Like, after this person said the brick wall, I could not unsee the brick wall.
Well, now you're making me not.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm behind the brick wall.
Look. I mean, they weren't lying. They weren't not lying. But the thing that when we knew we were onto something is when we sold 10,000 of these units.
Ándale, pues.
And we sold out.
Damn.
And we were like, we're onto something. Because if people bought this with the idea that this is a concha balloon, we were like, we're onto something.
Hell yeah.
So then after this design, we came out with this design.
Yes.
Right, which is like the 2.0 concha, and it even comes con una mordida
I
in
love
case
it.
anybody is wondering if it's a concha or
Yeah,
not.
just in case.
Just in case. So then we came up with this globito, and that is when we knew we were onto something. And then we slowly started adding more designs to the mix. And so, as you mentioned, it's now been 8 years. We started in 2016, but my business partner, Donna, is the one that kept on with the business. She fulfilled all of the orders online. She did all of the social media. She did all of the behind the scenes because I was working on Molcajete, and Molcajete was growing so quickly that it literally needed my full attention. So we outgrew 4 locations in 1 year. We became the largest in the country. We were not only doing downtown LA, but we were doing San Francisco. We were doing Pomona. We were about to launch in Arizona. We were about to launch in Chicago. And we went from 35 vendors when we started our first event to well over 120 vendors in any one of the events we would do. And
wait, I have a question here because this is a success. This is a win, and I want to learn from you. What was a key contribution to seeing that rise, that success, like from a business standpoint? Like, what do you think, like, snapped? You know, where it was like, okay, now we're.
I know exactly what it is, and you know, when you start a business, you need to think of it as a huge success. Because if you start thinking small, and I hate using the word small business because I feel like you're trapping yourself. Remember, words are super, super important.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yes.
And so if you keep on saying small business, it's like you're gonna stay a small business, and that's not what you want. So when we started Molcajete Dominguero, the reason why we started is because of this. I was still working in corporate America, and I remember going to an event in Portland, Oregon for one of our clients, and so I had to entertain the client. The client was gonna be there, I had to entertain, dine, and wine, y toda esa pinche madre. So then when we were at the event, there's only so much you could do at the event, and there was a pop-up going on like 2 blocks down. And I told my client, hey, let's go check out this pop-up. It looked really cool. And he said, yeah. So we went, and there I saw people selling Mexican blankets, Mexican huaraches for like...
In Oregon?
Ridiculous pricing. Ridiculous pricing. Like huaraches for like over $100.
Oh my gosh.
These blankets, like sarape blankets for like $60, $80.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what the heck? Like, why? Right? Why? So then we came back, and I was starting to sell globitos, and we were doing so well online, and everything looks beautiful online. I mean, with all these filters and all this shit, like even the ugliest thing is gonna look beautiful online. And so, being that I'm in marketing, I was like, I want to see people's reactions when they see our globitos.
Oh, okay.
And at that point, we already had 2 designs, which was the concha and the taquero mucho.
Okay.
And so I started looking for events, and this was around Dia de los Muertos, and I found an event in Placita Olvera.
Okay.
And I bought a booth space, and I took my globitos, and I sold out of the globitos.
Wow.
And next to me was this vendor. And I started making conversation with her, and I was like, hey, how often do these events happen? Because it was so difficult for me to find this. And she was like, oh, this one happens once a year. Like, we're in our heavy season right now. And I remember that struck a chord with me, where I was like, season? What do you mean season? And she said, yeah, estamos en Dia de los Muertos. And I was like, wait, we're not a fucking season. We're not a season. Like, what do you mean season? Like, we're here year round. We don't just come out for Dia de los Muertos, you know? So I said to her, we should start our own event. And then 3 weeks later, she DM'd me, and she was like, hey, I've been thinking about what you said. I think you're right. We need to start our own event. And then I was like, ay, Dios mío, here I go, abriendo la boca, right? And so she was, and I was like, okay, let's do it, but you need to help me because I am traveling all over the country and I cannot take on this by myself. So if you have this, and this taken care of, in 2 weeks, I'll think about doing an event with you. And not only did she have it all done, but she had it done in a week,
Wow.
which led me to believe
Yes.
that she's on it. She's gonna not like lag, and that's when we started. And we literally started Molcajete Dominguero with $35 each, because that's how much it took. We divided the cost of the venue amongst all the vendors that participated, y a cada uno nos tocó $35. And so that's how Molcajete Dominguero began. But to answer your question about is there a formula, the formula is to think big. I told her from the very beginning, we have to have a logo, we have to have colors, there needs to be a reason for a name, and we cannot just have this event on like a whatever date. We need to be very strategic of when it happens, Saturday, Sunday, blah, blah, blah. And by any means, we were not the first ones to invent events. We were not, but we were definitely the first ones to treat it as like a Coachella.
Oh, okay.
So the name became Molcajete Dominguero because even though she was Mexican, I'm Mexican. I didn't want to alienate anybody who wasn't Mexican. And I didn't want to call it anything that was super Mexicano.
Sí.
And then I started talking to my friends and I was like, do you know what a molcajete is? And they're like, yeah, of course, we use it. It's called this, blah, blah. Everybody knew what a molcajete was.
Genius.
And the reason why we called it molcajete was because when you put things into a molcajete, they start off as something, but then once you start grinding, right, it becomes a totally new thing. So each ingredient was each one of the vendors. And it was all of us coming together to create this event called Molcajete Dominguero, where vendors grind together. That was the tagline.
I love that.
And so, yeah, that's how it grew.
That was beautiful.
That's how it grew. So, and then all of the events that were happening around that time were 8-hour events. And I was telling my business partner Gladys, I was like, hey, listen, I don't want to sit here for 8 hours.
I love it.
And I don't want to give people 8 hours of an opportunity to say, we'll go later. Se les atraviesa el pinche burro y ya no fueron. So our events are going to be 4 hours. And she was like, but I don't think that's going to be enough time. It will be for those that really want to come. Dude. We're not giving them an opportunity to say later, and then life happens and they don't come. So I think that the time, the date of the week, which was Molcajete Dominguero, we would have it on Sundays. Most of the events that were happening around that time were happening on Saturday. And I'm like, wait, Saturday, hay quinceañeras, hay bodas, everybody has shit to do on Saturdays. Domingo is a day where everybody relaxes. So let's give them an opportunity to come and relax with us. And we're also gonna have it on the third Sunday of every month because that's payday where your money doesn't go to rent. So all of those things I thought about, right? So I think that when you start a business, no te puedes aventar nada más a lo loco. You have to really think about, okay, what makes sense for my customer? What, you know, how is the name going to be conveyed? Is it going to be easy to find on social media? Because some of y'all have some names that I'm like, I don't even know how to spell that. Like, how do I make it, like, how do I get to you? You have to make it easy. You have to make it easy. And nowadays, listen, you have to make it easy enough where people can enunciate and you know, phonetically get the spelling correct. You know, so those are all things that you need to think about and just be consistent. I just want to thank you because this is a full circle moment for me because in 2018 is when I started doing interviews and I've always been seeking my culture and the people in the community, and I started meeting people, and they were from your wonderful market. Oh, that's that is how I was like, what is that? And then so I, had planned on going with friends, and it was just like you created something just like Globitos, where it's like there's like an emotional need for this. Do you understand that? Like that what you're creating is like, it's not, I don't know. I know you're obviously it's very savvy, you're very business marketer, but I also want you to know that like, wow, like gracias.
You're tapping into something that like so much bigger, which I guess that makes sense here, the whole big part.
Gracias. And listen, not to sound cocky ni nada, pero everything that I've ever created has been because I want to see representation and because I want it, right? I went to this market in Portland and I'm like, why aren't our markets looking like this, where it's uniformed, where they all look the same, where it looks beautiful, where it looks, why are we going to markets where hay un canopy de este color, hay otro de esto, uno que it's falling apart? Like, let's change that. Let's change that narrative. Let's change that all the way around. And everything that I've created has always been because I haven't seen representation. And so whether it be Molcajete Dominguero, whether it be a brand named Calchonis that I had, whether it be Globitos, whether it be El Place, which was the first queer Latino bar in Boyle Heights. Whether it be Orgullo Fest, which was the first queer Latino Boyle Heights event, pride event, right?
Wow.
There isn't any representation, and I keep thinking to myself, wait, we live in California and there's still no representation like that here in California. We are falling far behind.
You clearly have the will and the desire. What do you think is there a part of you when you like that is Luis that you're just like, I don't know, like this is what opens you up to these ideas? Like I know the need of representation, but is there something, I don't know, like there's something about Luis that you're just like, I don't know, like young Luis, for example, that you're just like, yeah, like you can pinpoint, you're like, yep, that makes sense. Like, boop, like.
I think for me, what I can pinpoint is being in these board meetings with a bunch of white people and having these people make decisions for the Latino community. And me being the only Latino in these board meetings. And whenever I would say, hey, listen, I don't think you should do this because it could be disrespectful to the Latino community. And then them looking at me and saying, disrespectful to you or to the community? I'm like, to the community. I don't give a rat's ass what you put on there, but I'm telling you right now that the community would feel a certain kind of way. And if they're investing their money, their hard-earned cash, the least you could do is give them something that they will enjoy.
Yeah.
And at that moment, that is when, for me, everything kind of was like, what the heck am I doing? What am I doing? I am contributing to these organizations, these companies, and making people think that they need this product by marketing when they don't need it. Yet the people that are behind these products don't give a rat's ass about them. And at that point, that's when I was like,
Oof.
I can't do this. I can't do this all my life. And that's when I started kind of, doing the entrepreneurship route.
Wow.
Which is also not for everyone, right?
It's not.
Because
listen, the reality of it.
The reality of it is that I have $13 in my bank account right now. I had to go to like prepaid cell phone plan because I can't afford an $80 a month plan. I live in the garage at my parents' home with my partner, and my partner is the one that is paying for all the bills. Like I haven't gone out on a nice dinner. I haven't really gone out on vacation like the way I used to when I used to make six figures. Like, I don't buy clothes as much as I used to. And so that is the reality of an entrepreneur. That's the sad reality. Now, I know in my heart that everything that I've done, right? Molcajete, El Place, Orgullo Fest, Calchonis, everything that I've done, Globitos, is going to pay off. Like in my heart of hearts, I know that it's going to pay off. And just last year, it felt like we were there already when we made it into the 99-cent store. We sold over 25,000 units in less than 2 months in 20 stores. In 20 stores.
2 months?
In 2 months. Which basically told us that Globitos, there is a need.
Yes,
there is a need for it. And then they moved us into 200 stores.
What?
Yes, into 200 stores. And we started off with 80,000 units.
Wow.
And then a month later, this 99-cent store went bankrupt. I mean, listen, hasta hoy por hoy, they still owe us money. Will we see that money? I don't know. But I think that experience gave me the fuel to keep on going. Because it is no longer I know that the Latino community is gonna love this. No. Now it's a proven fact that they do love it because we went through so many units. And then the other thing is that we saw people buying just because. They weren't buying for a birthday, they weren't buying for an anniversary, they were buying because they thought it was funny, because they were like, wey, la más chingona, let me take this to my mom, let me take this to my grandmother, to my girlfriend, to whomever. Let me so we realized too that Globitos is an impulse buy, right? And so what other balloon?
He's talking marketing right here.
Yeah, what other Globito can prove that, right? So then at that point we were like, okay, ni modo, let's just keep on going. Let's keep on going. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. We're gonna continue to knock on doors. We're gonna continue to, get this out there. But one of our biggest hurdles right now has been knocking on these doors and then getting Peggy and John and all these gringos that are like 50 plus, and when we're knocking on their door, we're saying we're Globitos, we're a mylar balloon company for the Latino community, and then them quickly interrupting and saying, oh, we already have balloons for the Latino community. Oh, really? What do you have? Oh, well, we have Feliz Cumpleaños.
Okay.
And we also have the Donkey Piñata.
Oh goodness. Oh, goodness.
Okay, well, geez, thanks. You have a stereotypical balloon, right, of the Latinos. I'm surprised you don't have a maracas fucking balloon. And then you have a balloon that is a literal Google translation of happy birthday. That is not the Latino community.
It's not, no.
Right? It's not the Latino community. So now our approach is we are asking our followers to tag all of these stores like H-E-B, Fiesta, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Family Dollar, Walmart, Target, Five Below, Party City. Tag them. Because guess what? The people running their social media department are young. And at least if we can't go in through the big door, then we're gonna go in through the side door. Because the social media department is gonna be like, hey Peggy, we are being tagged by this company called GLOBITOS, and look. So it's such an uphill battle, but I know that once we get into these big box retail stores, it's gonna be game over because people are gonna love these globos. People are gonna purchase them.
Yes.
And I just really hope that moment, when that moment comes, it's gonna be the right moment, regardless of whether it be next month, in a year, 2 years, 5 years. Because now I'm at a point where we've made this sacrifice for such a long time, specifically me and my partner, that we know we're gonna get there. But that's the other equation of this formula. You have to be patient. I'm not a patient person. I'm not a patient person. Yeah, I'm not a patient person. But when you see these triumphs throughout, the life of your business, then to me that's worth it. And every little comment, like right now we've been very active on TikTok, and we just opened up our TikTok shop.
Exciting.
We've literally sold over $3,500 in like 40 hours worth of lives. Yeah. So
congratulations.
Gracias.
Híjole.
When I go live and I talk to people and they stop and they're like, I come out on the For You page and then
what do you do?
They're like, what is that? What is that? I'm like, hey, ¿cómo estás? My name is Luis Octavio. These are Globitos. They're a mylar balloon company that we're disrupting the industry by providing Globitos that speak to you, to me, and yours and mine in our language. And I show them La Más Chingona and Taquero, and then everybody's like, oh my God, let me buy. And we're literally gaining between 100 to 200 followers every time we go live. Because it is the best platform to be on right now. TikTok is the best platform. So, ahí vamos.
Dude, I'm just like, I'm really proud of you because this story is so like, this is what it takes. Like, it takes freaking belief, passion, patience.
Yeah.
And I love just how creative you are and how you're like, you know what? Like the story with 99 Cent Store, I'm like, wow, like, talk about the universe being like, aquí está. Oh, no, maybe a little bit more. And so it's like, how bad do you want this? Like, how bad do you want to make this happen?
Yeah.
And you're like, you're doing it. Ahí estás. And I hope that other entrepreneurs, because it is hard, and I want them to see your story and be like, okay, a seguirle. Like, if you really want it,
I mean, it was just, the 99 Cent Store was like, having your torta and your donut right here, like about to give a bite, and then it gets pulled out, y te quedas con la baba, así. That's what that moment was. It was so surreal. Like my business partner and I, literally, we cried. We were like, wait, like really? Is this a sign? Like, what kind of fucking sign is this? Like it's there. Like, we're selling 20,000 units in 2 weeks in 2 stores. That means that here we have the potential of making well over $1 million in 1 year.
Oh my gosh.
In 1 year, in 200 stores. Like, it was right there.
It's right there.
It was right there.
Damn.
It literally was right there. And then my parents, my siblings, everyone was just so happy for us. Everybody was just like, damn, this is like those success stories, right?
Yes, like the moment.
That was the moment for us. But then I think about a lot of things. I think about, you know, I'm the kind of person that thinks that things happen for a reason.
That's good.
And I think about, I live with my parents. I'm a 42-year-old grown-ass man living with your parents.
A handsome grown-ass man.
Gracias.
Come on now.
I have breakfast every morning with my dad. We talk.
Wow.
And it's so emotional because, you know, you just don't know how long you're going to have with your parents.
Yeah.
My mom, she works as a school teacher. And I just think about those moments that I'm going to continue to cherish with my parents. And I just think that there is a reason why this is happening. You know, there's a reason why. And also I thank my partner all the time because he doesn't have to take care of all of the bills. You know, he doesn't have to like take care of me.
Yeah.
He'll give me his credit card and he'll say, here, go buy some shoes or go buy something for yourself. And I just think I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed to have all of these people in my life, to have all of the support that I have. And I've tried to get like a part-time job. I've applied so many times to so many companies. Like literally I've applied to hundreds of companies and not one has called me back.
Wow.
And then I'm like, okay, because maybe I can work part-time and then I can help my partner.
Yeah.
And then the one time I do get a call back, I end up going back to corporate America. And then I'm like, oh, like no dure ni una semana. No dure ni una semana ahí. And I was just like, damn, this is why I have to work so hard. Because when we become big, when Globitos becomes a corporate office, right? When we have a corporate office, we are going to give our employees a whole month off in December. We're going to give all of our employees a month off. We are going to, you know, pay them beyond a decent salary. Because I take a look at these corporations and I'm like, you know, just giving your employees 2 weeks off for the holidays, like, come on, give them the whole month off because a week before they leave, se están haciendo pendejos.
Anyways.
Like they're not doing anything. Why do you need to have them in the office? You know, why?
Yeah.
And then they come back.
Yeah.
Nos estamos haciendo pendejos. Like there's nothing to do. You know? Like why?
Yeah.
Like give them the whole month off.
Yeah.
They're gonna think twice before messing up and they're gonna really absolutely love their job. And they're gonna scratch your back whenever you need your back scratched.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I keep telling my business partner, I'm like, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that and you know, blah, blah. And she's like, yes. So there's a company that we just recently heard their story and it's those teas that are 99 cents.
Yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, the Arizona.
Yes, Arizona.
Arizona, yeah.
Okay, so we just came up because we love listening to How I Built This.
Oh yeah.
And there's several companies on there when we're like, oh my God, that is so brilliant. That we'll send each other like the link and we're like, that's who we're gonna be. That's who we're gonna be.
Love that.
But we just recently came across the Arizona story. And the reporter asked the owner, why is Arizona tea still 99 cents?
It's still 99 cents?
Yeah.
And after how long? How many years?
I mean, since they started, it's always been 99
It's
cents.
what, 20 years or how long has it been?
Yeah, like, I don't know.
At
It's
least-
been a long ass time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I think
Wow.
80s, 90s.
Okay.
And his response was, we don't have any debt. And even at 99 cents, we're still making money.
Wow.
We don't need to make more.
Wow.
And I was just like, that is like, dude, what an amazing human being must you be to not be carried, because easily they could charge more
Easily.
and no one would complain. But he said, my employees get paid well and we still have money in the bank and we're still making money every month.
So yeah, why
So why?
get all the capitalism? It's that capitalism right there.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so when I heard that, and I said to my business partner, I'm like, dude, we can only, like, I don't know that we're gonna do that, right? But I'm like, I can only hope
Yeah.
that we could be
Right, right.
of the owner this person
Right,
is, because that is freaking insane. Who doesn't want more money?
Right.
Who doesn't want more money?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, ya me hiciste llorar.
No, I know. I was like, I want to hold your hand, but I'm like, oh, is it okay? No, because it's hard work, and it's hard mentally. There's, your partner, right? Like you mentioned, like I can kind of that sort of resonates with me too. Anna's like, definitely taking a chance, believing, but I don't think that your partner, he trusts you, he believes in you. And I think that also, I mean, this is what I like to tell myself, but like I see myself in you. Okay, now I'm gonna try not to cry myself here, but like I noticed like these things that your ventures are just very oriented to like community, and it's very heartfelt. Like it's like, if there's this emotional need that your business sounds like you're trying to tap into people's hearts. And I think your husband is, he sees that's a beautiful, you can't put money on that. You can't put a price on that. And so I'm sure he's loving you by like supporting what you love and that you want to spread love. So it's like this love fest that, yes, it has its, the trade-offs and, sacrifice and all this stuff. But I want people to see that, dude, like you are also seeing the bright side. You're so grateful. And I agree, like the fact that you can spend that time with your parents, like you're seeing, like you may not have everything you want exactly in this moment, but you're just like, you're in it. You're committed to the bit, and you're grateful with what you have. And I think sometimes when people think of entrepreneurs, this is sort of like capitalistic thing. Right. And this money thing, and it's like, I think a lot of us go into entrepreneurship because we want to like connect with people, we want to be creative, we want to, we want to do more than just going to a corporate job where it's like, you go, you clock in, you clock out. And so I think I appreciate your transparency today and like showing like it takes like corazon and all the rest. I don't know, I just thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share this, because I mean, listen, anybody who sees Globitos, anybody who sees our TikTok, anybody who sees us at the store, right? They're thinking, wow, that's awesome. But it really is a lot of hard work. It really is a lot of hard work. And even like with my business partner, Donna, she's an on-air jock. She's making great money. She's okay financially. She's, and it's crazy how these two business owners are in totally different spectrums, right? Totally different spectrums. Like she's fine, she's well off, she's made a great nest for herself, which is great. And I've known her since we were both 17 years old.
What?
Yeah, I've known her since we were 17 years old. But to me, it's also important to say, like, I don't envy her. And I'm happy for her, and she deserves that y mucho más, because she has struggled. She struggled.
Right.
In su momento, she struggled, right? And she tries to help me as much as she possibly can. But right now, I know that there is a reason as to why I am dealing, or I am experiencing this part, right? There's a reason why I'm experiencing this part. There's a reason why, even though we're in this business together, we're experiencing it differently. Yeah. But it's still very valid, both her experience and my experience. And listen, I know that Globitos would not exist without her, and she knows that Globitos would not exist without me. And so we both understand that we both contribute so much to the business, and that the success that it's had has been because of both of us. Like, if when I was dealing with Molcajete Dominguero, she would not have stepped in, we might not even be here talking about Globitos.
It's true.
Right? So she's the one that kept it going. And then once I didn't have Molcajete Dominguero, and once I didn't have El Place, I was stuck with nothing. And then I was like, wait a second, I'm not stuck with anything. I have Globitos. And that's when I started, kicking it up a notch. And that's how we ended up at the 99-cent store. That's how we now ended up everywhere else. So we both contribute equal parts, and we experience it differently. Yeah. But I think that if there's anybody watching out there who is thinking about starting their own business, or is currently with a business and you're struggling, like, that's part of it. Yeah. The one thing you have to be okay with is watching Instagram or TikTok and seeing all of your friends go out, travel, shopping, dining, brunch, mimosas, whatever, and you sitting at home. So as long as you're okay with that, for now, because it's not always going to be that way.
It's not always going to be that way.
It's not always going to be that way. Then continue to move forward with your business. Believe in it.
Believe in it.
You know, I sit here and think I've worked in positions where I've gotten paid over, 6 figures. They believed in me, right? Paying over 6 figures. Why can't I believe in myself?
Yeah.
1, and 2, after I saw the potential, I was like, yes, I'm gonna bet on myself. I'm gonna bet on Globitos. And I'm going to continue to move forward.
So the betting on yourself there's no price on that. I mean, if you have the calling, you have the drive, like you can't compromise that, you really can't. Even though I also was working corporate, I was telling Anna, I'm like, I'm not getting the money I was getting, right? But I know I'm building, and I know that I'm really happy. I know it's hard. It's like not going to sugarcoat the hardness of it all, and be cautious of your mental health and having boundaries, and all that still applies. But I know I'm being just like, I'm following my truth. And that's something that, like, I went to school for film, and I remember being in class, and everybody was like, oh, they had all these ideas and these scripts, and I'm over here distracted because I'm like, I don't like myself. I don't, I was depressed, and I try to think about that 19-year-old girl, and I'm like, we're fucking doing it. Like, you know who you are. We're doing it. Like,
exactly.
No more distractions. Like, and there's like a lot of self-love and like pursuing what it is that you believe. So.
I know, and now you're getting teary-eyed. But the reason why we do get teary-eyed is because it's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's not easy. Sitting here and sitting here and conducting this interview, and especially you, because you're the face. You're the face. You're the face, and you have to smile, and you have to be cheery, and and who knows cómo te fue esta mañana? Who knows cómo te fue esta semana? Only you know that. And the reason why you get teary and why we get so emotional is because it's not fucking easy.
It's not fucking easy.
It's not easy. It's not easy. And so, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. And then I also think about these entrepreneurs who have made it at an older age, right? Because now, I mean, you're young, but like,
I'm right behind you, but sure.
I'm 42, right? And so there's this thing of like, well, si no lo hiciste en tus 20s, 30s, then ya chupaste faros, no?
Nah.
But there's people who did it, like the owner of Kentucky Fried Chicken. He did it at like what, his 50s, 60s? And then there's like Carolina Herrera, who also made it big.
Oh, I don't think it's so, like age is, and Anna always tells me, because it's easy to compare yourself to even, the younger people who are doing stuff. It's like, we're all on our own track, and there's like different contextual things. Like the thing about your parents, I think that's a big nuance in your story, is like, you get to have that time with your parents. Like, I'm an entrepreneur, and I thought I was gonna have time for that. I haven't. I love you, Mom and Dad, but like, I thought I was gonna be able to like pop in, have coffee, and it's like, it hasn't been that easy, And so sometimes, you have certain priorities at certain times, and you get to experience things at certain times, and you kind of have to trust that you're doing what you can, and trust your choices. I don't know.
Yeah, you have to, and just be patient.
Be patient.
I don't even know how I'm saying that, because I'm like not patient at all.
I think it's just one of those things where it's like, you just have to, there's a saying, it's like, if you give up, that's failing. I mean, you're not failing, that's like, you're not even giving yourself a chance. And I think it's really admirable. And you're gonna look back, I'm telling you, you're gonna look back at this time when you're like at that 99 cents like crossroad, because it's a crossroad at this point. It could have been the moment, but it's a crossroad, and it's like a crossroad where you could have been like, fuck it, like we're walking away, it just wasn't meant to be. But you believe in it so much, and you can already tell from what you're telling me with TikTok, it's like, there's clearly a need. So you're like, no, let's keep going. It's almost like something got in front of you and you're like, okay, I'm gonna jump over it. Let's keep going. Like, don't let like the outside things you can't control like be the reason your story ends,
Right.
So you're
I mean, listen, it could have easily been the end, because we got a loan to be able to buy all those balloons.
Okay.
and it wasn't even like one of those loans where you pay a monthly, $400 or $500 or whatever. It was a loan from a family member. So it's like even worse because we have to give that money back, right? We can't just file for bankruptcy. Once again, the 99 cent store still owes us money, and we're hopeful that it happens within a year that they pay us, because otherwise, we're doing all we can do right now to try to recover that money, and everything that is coming into the business right now is going to pay off that loan.
Wow.
But really, the money should be going into investing more in Globito. So right now we're like at this crossroads where we're like, okay, we're gonna replenish our Globos, but we have to be strategic. Let's just get the ones that are super popular. Some of them we're not gonna be able to do for right now. And then that could easily change in 2 months, right? That could change. If Dollar Tree says, hey, we want your business, we want you to, that, like everything and anything can change. But right now, what is fact, or what is true for us, is we need to keep on selling. We are seeing that TikTok is a great avenue for us, a great platform to be able to sell. And if we were able to sell almost $3,500 in 40 hours worth of lives, let's put more hours into that. Let's put more hours. Let's sell more. Let's be constant. Let's do it. So we're not giving up. We're not giving up. For sure, we're not giving up. We're gonna try our best, our hardest, and so
and that's what it takes. That's what it takes.
Yes.
So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Just continually impressed by you, and we're here to support however we can.
Gracias.
Who knows? Maybe one day we'll have a donas y tortas globitos. Maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah.
You never know.
Claro.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything that you're doing for the community, and thank you for believing in yourself.
Gracias. Thank you for allowing me to share your space. Muchas gracias.
Claro que sí. Bravo. That's a wrap.
Okay.
On Luis. That's a wrap, buddy.
Gracias.
Hey.
That's awesome. Gracias. Thank you.